Hi guys, welcome back to the Curly Reader. So I just got back from Savers, which is a thrift store close to me. And I have found some really good finds and I'm so excited. And so I wanted to sit down and film this, share with you what I found at Savers. I've also hit up a couple of yard sales around here recently and found some really fun things there. And then I also, a few weeks ago, went to Goodwill and found a couple of things that I figured I'd just throw in as a bonus. So let's go ahead and get started. I think I'm gonna start with the stuff that I found at the yard sales, and then I'll share with you what I found at Goodwill a few weeks ago, and then I'll get into the really awesome finds from Savers from today. So, last weekend was our town's citywide garage sale. So a friend and I went around, and whenever I go to garage sales, I always look for books, and I found some mostly middle grade stuff for my kids because, you know, yard sales. But I did find these. These is the Spirit Animals books. They're written by different authors, but I found books 1, 2, and 3. So book 1 is Wildborn. This is by Brandon Mull. The next one is Hunted by Maggie Stiefvater, and book 3 is Blood Ties, and this is by Garth Nix and Sean Williams. I grabbed these because one of my daughters is really into wolves, and I saw this and thought this would be right up her alley. This is about 4 children who have spirit animal bonds with a panda, a leopard, a wolf, and a falcon maybe. And so it's just kind of different books. But when I saw that the one was written by Maggie Stiefvater, I know she's really well known, and so I thought I'd grab those for my kids. So I got those. They were like $1 a piece or something along those lines. After that, I grabbed The Watsons Go to Birmingham, 1963 by Christopher Paul Curtis. This one was on somebody's middle grade March recommendations for middle grade, and so it kind of got put on my radar then. And so this is a middle grade book. It's set in 1963. It's about an African American family who live in Flint, Michigan, and they go to visit grandma who lives in Birmingham, Alabama, and just kind of what that entails in 1963. And so I'm excited to read this. This might be one that I save for March next year. So grab that. And then I found another Pam Munoz Ryan book. I'm so excited. I have not read this one yet. This is Becoming Naomi Leon, and I have no idea what this is about, and I don't even care. I read 2 Pam Munoz Ryan books during middle grade March this year, and I read one last year, and I love her books, and so I'm really excited to read this. No idea what it's about though. All right, and then if you watched my previous thrift haul, my first thrift haul that I had posted that I had thrifted Between Shades of Grey by Ruta Sepetys, and how I wanted to keep my eye out for Salt to the Sea, and no joke, a week later at a garage sale, look what I found for $0.25. So I have a hardback book, hardback version of Ruta Sepetys' Salt to the Sea. It's in perfect condition, and I paid $0.25 for it, and I could not be more excited. This was the find of the day for me. I was thrilled. So this is about the Wilhelm Gustloff. It's a historical fiction set at the end of World War II. It's told from 5 different points of view. You have a Nazi soldier in there, a Russian, a Lithuanian girl, a Polish girl, and one other person I don't remember now. But they're all trying to get to the coast of the Baltic Sea, to get on this ship to get them out of Germany because Russia is starting to move in. And so once they get to the boat, what happens? That's the trick. And so this is based off true events. It is about the Wilhelm Gustloff. If you Google it, you'll find out about it. But it is tragic. It is heartbreaking. It is touching. It is one of my favorites. I love this and Between Shades of Grey. And I'm so excited to have a hardcover copy of this in my possession. So those were my yard sale finds. Moving on to my Goodwill finds from a couple weeks ago. The first thing I grabbed was this children's book, The Bravest Dog Ever, The True Story of Balto. My kids have been watching the Balto movies on Netflix, and so this was just something that I grabbed for them. It's a children's book, but right up their alley. Love buying children's books at Goodwill. They're normally under $1, and so that was fun. Then I grabbed an old copy of Stuart Little. If you've seen, I don't know if it's going to go up before this or after this. I have a library book sale haul that I filmed where I talk about how I love old copies of books. I find myself really drawn to like the 1970s, 1980s versions of especially classics. I like when they look like classics and not like new books. And so this is an old copy of Stuart Little, which is about a mouse. We've seen the movie, but we've never read the book. So this will be one that I read out loud to my kids. Excited for that. Then I found a copy of The Land of Forgotten Girls by Erin Entrada Kelly. And I had never heard of this book before. But it says that it is about two sisters that are from the Philippines who've been abandoned by their father. They now live with their evil stepmother in Louisiana, and just kind of finding out the meaning of family and sisterhood. And so I thought this sounded interesting. I really like reading, especially middle grade books about diverse characters. So the fact that they're from the Philippines and this is about family and stuff, I like reading these because I feel like I can then recommend them to my kids, and my kids get the opportunity to read about diverse characters. So I went ahead and grabbed this because it was super cheap, and I thought it would be good for them. And then I found a couple adult books at Goodwill. I grabbed a imperfect condition of Jane Austen's Persuasion. One of my bookish confessions that I have never said here is that I have never read Jane Austen. So yeah, I don't read a lot of classics. They're just hard. I did say that, I think, in my Getting to Know Me video. But I've never read Jane Austen, and this is a thin one. So I figured this would be a good place to start. And I know a lot of people have said that they really like this. So went ahead and grabbed that. And then I also found Diane Ackerman's The Zookeeper's Wife. And this is a historical fiction that is, I don't know if it's historical fiction or if it's based on very true events. I know that. So it's like maybe a little bit of liberties taken, but otherwise it's a true story. But it is about a couple in Poland, maybe? They're Polish. But their zoo is bombed during World War II. And they end up being able to save over 300, I think it is, people who are refugees by keeping them in the empty animal cages and giving them animal names and keeping them out of the eye of the Nazis that way. And so I have never read this. Pretty sure this might have been made into a movie, and I haven't seen the movie either. So I'm excited to read this one. I'm really excited that I found this, and I'm excited to read it. So grab that. All right, now moving on to my extremely exciting Savers haul. Where to start? Okay, I'm gonna start with my adult novel because I only grabbed one adult novel today. But I found a brand new edition of 1,000 Splendid Suns by Khalid Hosseini. This is the same guy that wrote The Kite Runner, which I have also hauled from Goodwill. But I have recently seen quite a number of people on YouTube mentioning this as their favorite book of all time. And I've never read it. So I'm excited to read this. I'm even more excited to own a brand new hardcover edition of it for $3-4. So I'm excited for that. That was my adult book find of the day. Young adult, I scored as far as young adult fantasy goes. I found Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas, Nevernight by Jay Kristoff, and Scythe by Neil Shusterman. I have not read any of these ones yet, but I know that they all have very huge followings, very exciting premises. Especially this one has been around forever. I know that. I used to be more into reading YA fantasy than I am now, but I think out of all of these, this is the one I'm most excited to read. But I'm really excited to read all of them. And this one I can't get on audiobook. It might be an Audible exclusive, but none of my libraries have this on audiobook. This one I can't get on audiobook through my library. I've looked for years. And this one I tried on audiobook and I DNF'd it because I was so lost I couldn't figure out what was going on. And I'm pretty sure that somebody said that there's there's footnotes in it. And I think that that might be why I couldn't follow it on audio format. So the fact that I can't get these in audiobook, I have to read them in physical form, and now I own them all in physical form, super stoked for that. Those are my young adult finds. Moving on to middle grade, because I found some really good ones, guys. The Invention of Hugo Cabret by Brian Selznick. I read Wonderstruck by Brian Selznick during middle grade March and fell in love with his storytelling style. His writing style, it's part story, like written like a regular novel, and then full page illustrations mixed in. And it is beautiful. And these books are so expensive, and this was $3. And it is, the dust jacket's got a little bit of wear on it, but the book itself looks brand new. Yeah, this retailed for $25. I got it for $3. So I was so excited for this because I want to read all of Brian Selznick's work now after reading Wonderstruck. This is where I'm going next. So, all right, that was that. Then I grabbed Peter Nimble and His Fantastic Eyes by Jonathan Auxier. And Jonathan Auxier also wrote Sweep, which was the group read during middle grade March. And that book was phenomenal. So I've wanted to read more of his stuff, and this is brand new. It was $1.79, so I snatched that right up. I have no idea what this is about. 10-year-old blind orphan who has been schooled in a life of thievery. That's the first line of the synopsis, and that sounds pretty fantastic to me. So we're definitely going to read this at some point. All right. Then I grabbed The Candy Makers by Wendy Mass. This is one I've seen in the library a lot. It is about these kids that go to a candy shop and there's a competition to make a new candy or something along those lines. I thought that this would be a fun one to read out loud over the summer maybe because it's so big. This might be fun to read to my kids over the summer, but once again, it was under $2, so grab that. I also grabbed York, and this is book 1 of the Shadow Cipher. This is by Laura Ruby. I heard about this book from, I want to say Ashley from A Dash of Ash, maybe. I'll put down here somewhere whose channel I saw this from. She did a video recommending middle grade books, I don't even know how long ago, and she mentioned this book, and she said that it was like National Treasure, but for middle graders, and it's set in New York. So it's kind of a scavenger hunt with these kids in New York, and they're trying to find clues that are hidden within buildings and the building's foundations. I started this on audiobook during middle grade March, but I couldn't follow it real well on audio, so I've been wanting to pick up the actual book. This one was a little bit beat up, but once again, for under $2, I don't even care. I have 4 kids. Most of my books are beat up, so grab that one. Okay, after that, let's see. I have The Complete Persepolis. This is by Marjane Satrapi, and this might be considered YA, I think, but it is a graphic novel. It's a fairly well-known graphic novels, and graphic novels, they're expensive. $25. Yep, I got it for $3.49. So I snatched this up real fast because I've been wanting to read this and I just haven't yet. But this is Marjane's kind of memoir. It is about her life during the Islamic Revolution in Tehran, and just kind of, yeah, her life. And so I've been wanting to, I like reading memoirs in graphic novel form, graphic memoirs. I find them very interesting. And so that's a really exciting one. Then my last one that I'm going to share with you is Pippi Longstocking by Astrid Lindgren. Now I own, let's see if I have it. Yes, I own Pippi Longstocking in an older paperback form. And so I really questioned whether I was going to get this or not, but it was like $1. And it is illustrated, and it is so stinking cute. So let me find, all right. So like, there's these huge illustrations in it, and it's just so fun. And so I'm like, okay, this has to come home with me. So that was my last one that I grabbed, and I'm really excited. Okay, so this is illustrated by Lauren Child, and there's a another series that she illustrates. I know, I can't think of it off the top of my head right now, but I know there is one. But anyway, I just thought this was way too cute to pass up, and I'm really excited to read this out loud with my kids for sure very soon. So that is all. I hope you found this as exciting as I did. I was really, really stoked to leave the thrift store today with so many really exciting finds. And so I hope that you enjoyed this. If you've read any of these, please comment down below. Let me know what you thought about them. If you have a preference on which ones I read first, let me know. I'd love to take your thoughts into consideration. And other than that, I hope that you enjoy this and you stick around and you subscribe. And until next time, see ya!